Hey guys, it's Dan with Pain For You. As you can see, I'm not home in my backyard. I'm actually down in St. Petersburg, which is just south of Tampa, Florida, and I'm here for a long weekend. You're probably going to see this video on Thursday, since before I left for the weekend I was able to shoot a bunch of videos and get them all scheduled, so I didn't have to shoot while I was down here. But I had the urge to make a video and figure I'd show you guys how nice it is down here. We got palm trees. Sometimes you'll be lucky enough to spot wild parakeets up in the trees. So anyway, it's a pretty cool place to be. My girlfriend lives down here, so periodically I'll come down and visit, and she comes up to visit pretty often as well, since she travels a lot for work. Anyway, today's topic is going to be feeling the dark, negative emotions, which is part of this mind-body work that we all are focused upon. But also then, feeling gratitude and learning to be happy. So, I got a question. So this was a video request from somebody saying, how do I reconcile those two things? Because Dan, you always say what we focus on tends to magnify. And if we're allowing ourselves to feel these dark, negative emotions, isn't that just going to really teach us to be a negative, dark person? And, I wanted to talk about that a little bit today. Basically, it's volume. We become and believe the things that we do most often. So we've been avoiding, pushing away, repressing, deciding that I don't have time for those negative, dark things, or deciding I shouldn't feel that way. We've been doing that most of our lives, and unfortunately that kind of keeps those emotions stuck because we've never really allowed ourselves to feel them and essentially resolve those emotions. So that's kind of why we're in this problem in the first place, is because of this avoidance of these deep emotions, these real emotions. They're very justified emotions sometimes. And I'm not suggesting that you do a complete 180 degrees and do nothing but focus on the deep, dark, negative, repressed emotions, and do that all day, every day. In my effort to get better, I think I've told this story, I journaled every day for 6 months, twice a day. I'd write down everything that was wrong with my life, every negative feeling I've ever had about the people around me, and I literally wrote myself into a depression, because all I was doing was focusing on the dark and the negative emotions. And so, getting better from TMS, or this diversion process, this distraction process, is really learning to attain a balance for once. Our previous life, before we knew about this whole mind-body process, our previous life was all about avoiding everything dark and acting like and behaving like everything was perfect, because we wanted to be liked. We didn't want to cause trouble. We didn't want to be like our angry parents, for example. There was all sorts of stuff. So we were completely on the avoidance spectrum. And I'm not suggesting that the way out is to dive deep and dwell and ruminate on everything that's wrong with your life all day long for months on end. Because as the viewer pointed out, wouldn't that just make us even more unhappy? And they're right. So finding a balance, and what I suggest to people, and it's a common theme in the videos I put out, is to really do the work, which is, give yourself permission to open up that subconscious and feel these emotions that you've probably been pushing away for a long time. Give yourself permission throughout the day. If something is really angering you or making you really sad, give yourself permission to take a 5-minute potty break, or go lock your door in the bedroom, or get in your car and scream or cry or whatever. But give yourself permission to do that on a regular basis. But I also say, stay out of story mode. Don't go crying and then come home and then replay the story over and over and over again for the rest of the day, the rest of the week, the month, the year, over all these things that have upset us. Because that story mode and staying locked in the story just serves to reinforce that emotion over and over again. Basically reactivates it, whether we want to or not. The story is what keeps us stuck. So if you can truly honor your emotions and feel it, sit with it, just allow yourself to be temporarily overwhelmed with that emotion and feel it in the privacy of your head and your heart and your soul and your car and your bathroom and your wherever, bedroom. Just feel it. After about 90 to 120 seconds, 1.5 to 2 minutes, that feeling's going to start to dissipate. You'll be able to breathe easier, and you're not going to be quite as upset, angry, sad, right? Ashamed, guilty, whatever it is. So give yourself that permission throughout the day, but get out of the story. The story just will reactivate it. So my recommendation is do the work. Spend your 20 to 30 minutes in the morning or whenever you decide to do it, feeling these deep emotions. But then, as I always suggest, soothe yourself, right? Learn to bring yourself back out. Oh, my glasses just blew off the darn table. 1 second. Yeah, once you are done feeling these emotions, soothe yourself, right? Bring yourself out of that and bring yourself back to a place of peace, self-love, feeling worthy, doing things you enjoy, right? Find something to bring you out of that story, right? And if you can find something that you enjoy that will get your head out of the story of what you just felt, then that's a wonderful thing to do. So when I say find a balance, what I mean is do the work for 20, 30 minutes a day, maybe a little bit longer if you feel you've got more work to do. That's up to you. There is no right answer as to how long to do this work. But then you always hear me saying, get back to living your life. So as it relates to feeling the dark emotions versus trying to create joy and happiness, feeling your emotions for 20, 30 minutes a day is not going to ruin the rest of the day unless you choose to stay in the story and stay in those negative emotions and ruminate over them and be upset and mad at yourself or feel guilty because you felt those negative emotions about perhaps the people around you that you love. So it's a real balance here. We've tried to make believe these negative emotions existed, and we spend 100% of our waking hours avoiding them. So all I'm suggesting is give yourself that window of time. And then also a window of time when when you're experiencing these things in real time, to actually honor and feel what you're feeling so that we slow down and even stop the repression process. Then the rest of the day, yes, look for joy. Look for reasons to smile and laugh. If even just sitting out by the water somewhere. I don't know if you've got this nearby, or there's got to be something that brings you joy. Watch a squirrel climbing on a tree outside. Whatever will make you smile. Take your mind off of your sorrow and your desperation to heal, right? Because if all day long we're spending trying to heal, fix this, frustrated with the pain, angry with the pain, I gotta get rid of this pain. You're teaching your brain that pain is the most important thing to you. Wouldn't it be a much more appropriate strategy to teach your brain that joy and happiness and smiling and living your life and accomplishing things you want to and need to do is a more appropriate priority than pain. And look, I get it. If you are struggling with severe pain, I know what that's like. And I know how challenging it can be. It can really, really be difficult to not focus on the pain. And every time I make a comment like this, I see people commenting back like, how am I supposed to ignore the pain? Or I'm trying to ignore the pain and it's not working. Again, I will never say ignore your pain. What I suggest is notice it, but then choose your reaction to it. Look, whether you're stuck on the floor writhing in pain, or just limping along with, mid-level pain, I've never seen anybody, including myself, who got better by freaking out every time the pain hit, right? If you're laying on the floor because you're racked in pain, freaking out about it and catastrophizing it and watching a movie in your head about your horrible future and your horrible life isn't going to help you get better. Do you think that would help you feel better? Or do you think perhaps just laying there, noticing, watching your pain, watching yourself in pain, breathing deep, soothing yourself, calming yourself with a reassuring voice, inner voice, instead of that nagging inner asshole who just says, oh, this sucks, your life sucks, you're never going to get better, this is going to be it forever. You know, wouldn't it be much better to hear your own internal parent soothing yourself and saying, you know, you can beat this, you're going to be fine. You know what this is caused by, you know it's caused by overwhelming repressed emotions. So allow yourself to soothe yourself, like give yourself permission to say it's going to be all right. It is all right. I'm just massively uncomfortable right now. I'm safe. Even laying on the floor racked with pain, you're actually still safe. It doesn't feel that way, I know that, but you are still safe. You know, there's no tigers or bears, there's no intruders breaking into your house, there's no imminent danger of dying or anything. You're just massively uncomfortable. And you are because of, you know, a lifetime of avoiding these emotions. So give yourself the gift of feeling them. Give yourself the gift of getting them out, whether you use expressive writing, journal speak, which is Nicole Sachs' process, whether you use the I am feeling technique that I talk about sometimes. Find a technique that allows you to truly feel the emotions. And how will you know which technique is better? You'll know, because you'll feel it in your heart, in your throat, in your gut. Oh, I'm really feeling it. Find one that works. There is no perfect process. Some people resonate more with, you know, sitting with their emotions and noticing their emotions in their body and just allowing it to wash over them. Some people do better with writing because that allows them to just unfiltered free write. So find one that works for you. Give yourself that gift of getting that darkness out, because keeping it locked up is what has caused the problems in the first place. So as it relates to the original question, how do I balance or reconcile feeling these dark emotions and not becoming this dark, nasty, depressed person? And it's just as I've said, do the work. Spend a limited amount of time doing the work. And then afterwards, go live your life. Stop trying to do the work all day, because a 24-hour-a-day effort to heal is only going to keep you stuck, because it's too important, it's too prevalent. You're teaching your brain, wire these pain signals, because that's all I'm thinking about. So I hope this helps. I hope this makes sense. Definitely do not dwell in your negative emotions all day long, because that will make you a dark and depressed person or angry person, right? But one thing that Dr. Joe Dispenza said, which is key, is yes, you're allowed to react to things in your life with emotions. But the real key question is, how long are you going to stay in that reaction? And he uses the term, let it go. And it's a very, very appropriate term, because we can literally choose, and this is a choice, to let it go. Feel it. Feel the heck out of it. But then after you're done feeling it, you can choose to let it go. And that is a choice. And by saying, all right, I understand, I've been really pissed off, I got really sad, this person hurt me bad, emotionally, physically, whatever, I am going to choose to let it go. Forgiveness is in there somewhere. Watch my past video about forgiveness. But forgiveness is for you, not for the other person. And as long as you hold on to resentment, that person owns you, right? Which is a bad way to think about it, but that's true, because as long as you're holding on to resentment, they own your emotional world. They own your emotional response. So, what do you guys think? Comment below. Let me know what you think. Was this helpful in seeking balance between doing the work, which is supposed to be allowing yourself to feel the dark, negative stuff, and actually going about and living your life and finding joy and finding happiness and laughter? And look, life is not all about being happy 100% of the time. If I told you that, I'd be lying to you. We're supposed to have ups and downs. We're supposed to have good days and bad days. Life happens. Shit happens. Right? Give yourself permission to feel the full spectrum. The bad, ugly, dark stuff, as well as the good stuff. So with that, I'm going to pan around, let you look at the scenery around here, and wish you a very wonderful day. And we'll talk to you soon. All right, folks, at St. Petersburg, Florida. Talk to you soon.